Winning Daily Podcast. We're here for Friday, February the 19th. We got a great set of games today. Big slate in college basketball, though it's not the big schools. It is still a big slate. We got all our Saturday soccer domestic league picks on the way. We also got the women's finals in the Aussie Open and a couple NBA picks today. So let's get into it. We're going to start out with the Aussie Open, the final for the women's. We're going to go with Jennifer Brady plus 360 versus Naomi Osaka. Like the way Brady's playing here. I know Naomi Osaka, who's gotten, I think, if she makes it to the quarterfinals in these majors, she has never lost. But just love the way Jennifer Brady's playing here. She's gotten to two straight finals in the major. So I'm looking forward to breakthrough here and get a win. And I really like that plus 360 price. So like the value in Jennifer Brady here at plus 360. And we'll see if maybe it goes down and she could get an early lead. And then maybe we could live play Naomi Osaka too. So we're on a win-win side that way. But going to start out with Jennifer Brady plus the 360. We'll move into Saturday soccer matchups. We got a handful of matchups this weekend, pretty split between Saturday and Sunday's game. We'll have all Sunday's picks tomorrow's Winning Daily episode, but let's get into tomorrow's early morning games. We're going to start out in the English Premier League. We're going to go with Southampton, draw no bet, plus 230 versus Chelsea. Southampton's really been on a down streak here. I believe they've lost 6 straight after that, after having a really good start to the season, but a couple injuries in there have let them down, but I think they're going to play well this weekend. Chelsea, who since they let go of Frank Lampard and brought in Thomas Tuchel, have been playing well. I wouldn't say great. They've definitely been in the soft spot of their schedule. I don't think they have a great win yet. This Southampton team probably mid-table around so this is probably one of the toughest teams Chelsea has played since the coaching change, and I just think Southampton going to come out there. So I'm looking really more for a draw here, but I think Southampton has a chance at plus 230. We're also going to take a long shot in this game. Timo Werner, 2 or more goals, plus 1,600. Just think he's due to get on streak, and I'm just waiting for him to break through and hammer home some goals here. Really like the way he's played under Thomas Tuchel, so I think this is a pretty good long shot bet here. Southampton tends to give up goals, so we'll see if Timo can really get on track here. Definitely a real long shot play, but I think Timo's due to have a big game. One more game in the Premier League that we like, Burnley versus West Brom, under 1.5 goals is plus 175. Just like this line here, both teams really, really set up defensively. I'm not sure who's going to even want to have the ball in this one. Both teams are very notorious for letting other teams just chew up possession and then trying to hit them on not even really counterattacks, mostly set pieces and stuff like that. So really think this will be a low scoring game. Would not shock me at all if a 0-0 tie came out of this. But the under 1.5 goals plus 175, really do think this breaks out nicely for value wise. All right, we're going to move on from the Premier League and go to the Bundesliga. We're going to start with Mönchengladbach to win and go over the 2.5 combined goals. So Mönchengladbach has to win, and then the over-under total on the goals has to be 2.5. They're playing Men's. Men's is really not a very good team. One of the worst defensive teams in the Bundesliga. I think Gladbach, who's one of the better scoring teams, will light up the scoreboard. So they might be able to get those 2.5 goals all themselves. But I definitely think we can get to 3 goals here. And Gladbach definitely the win. So getting plus value on that part of it, really, really nice. So Gladbach to win, 2.5 combined goals in the game. Really like that. We'll move on to Frankfurt to win. Both teams to score plus 375 versus Bayern Munich. Frankfurt has played really well if anybody's watched them this year. I really think they have a chance here, especially since Bayern Munich will have a Champions League game midweek. They had a game earlier in the week, so this will be about their 3rd game in about 7 days by the time they get to Champions League. They have a pretty decent lead in the Bundesliga. I don't think anybody's really, really threatening them too much. Maybe RB Leipzig, but really I think everyone knows Bayern Munich's going to win this Bundesliga, and I think they know that, and they might take their foot off the gas a little bit here. And I think Frankfurt can at least give them a hard time. So I really do think there's really good value at plus 375 here, that Frankfurt could get away with a win. Both teams definitely will score here. Munich's not going to be shut out, certainly not by Frankfurt. So I think there's really good value in Frankfurt to win. Both teams to score plus 375. Also in that game, we're going to go with Frankfurt. Excellent striker, Andre Silva, goal plus 140 versus Bayern Munich. Really like the value here. Andre Silva has 18 goals on the year in 20 games. So I really think he'll get one. Bayern Munich's defense is really the only part that maybe you could question a little bit. And Silva is just the type of goal scorer who can get in and behind that high line of Bayern Munich. And he'll definitely be on track to get a goal here. So at plus 140, good value here, whether Frankfurt wins or loses. I definitely think this will be a high action scoring game. So Andre Silva, plus 140 goal versus Bayern Munich. Really like that. And our last domestic soccer league, we're going to go over to Serie A into Italy and Sassuolo over 2.5 goals versus Bologna. Bologna, a very poor defensive team. So Sassuolo, who was scoring goals in big numbers early in the year, has dropped off a little bit and sort of dropped off the table. I look for him to get back on track here versus Bologna, who is a very sort of poor defensive team. I think Sassuolo can hit this number at 3 on goals here. Plus 260, really, really decent value. So Sassuolo over 2.5 goals, plus 260. All right, next up, we're going to go to the NBA, and we're going to ride the Chicago Bulls plus 8.5 versus the Philadelphia 76ers. These are the type of games I really like the Bulls in, getting big points here, but they tend to play really, really well versus good teams like this. They do have a lot of very talented players. So when a big game like this comes in, I like to have the Bulls and getting a big plus. So plus 8.5 for the Chicago Bulls versus the Philadelphia 76ers. And we're going to go with the New Orleans Pelicans plus 3.5 versus the Phoenix Suns. Really sort of liked how what I've seen from the New Orleans Pelicans of late. Think they're starting to make a little bit of a run. Stan Van Gundy's sort of finding his groove here on how he wants to go on offense. They're still pretty weak defensively, but Stan's starting to figure a little bit out here. Should be a really entertaining game versus the Phoenix Suns. New Orleans Pelicans plus 3.5. Really like that. All right, we're going to go into college basketball. No Dynamite David today. We've had to send him to the burn ward because he has just been on fire, and those third-degree burns have been just peeling off his skin the way he has been picking college basketball this week. So just me for Friday night's slate of games. He'll be back Saturday morning to give you all his fire picks this week. But we're going to start out in the Northeast, and we're going to go with Monmouth plus 2.5 versus Iona. This Metro Athletic Conference matchup, these are probably the two best teams, at least preseason-wise, in the Metro Athletic, but Iona has been really, really disappointing this year. Monmouth has been really pretty good. Only one loss in their last 8 games. So I really think Monmouth's on a roll here. Them getting plus versus Iona, who still gets a little bit of overvalued because of Rick Pitino there and their preseason sort of slot where everybody thought they were good. But they started out slow to start the year. They started to get back on track, and then they had that long wait for COVID. They didn't play from December 23rd till February 12th. Came back, had a nice win versus Manhattan, but since then they lost the back-to-back to Manhattan. Then they lost to Quinnipiac the other night. And I just think Monmouth is a much better team here. And I like them getting plus the 2.5. So we're going to ride Monmouth here, even though it is on the road. Another team who I think is getting undervalued, St. Louis. They came back from also a long COVID stretch. They did not play from December 23rd until January 26th. And you'll remember we took, me and both Dynamite David took Dayton in that game. Dayton ended up the better team, but that was a 76-71 game when they hadn't played in a month. They also lost to LaSalle right after that, and since then they have been on a roll. They beat a very good St. Bonaventure's team, then beat Rhode Island, and have had two really big wins since then, Fordham and LaSalle. They're going to Dayton this time, and I think St. Louis is back to where they were at the start of the year. St. Louis was playing great basketball before the had to take that COVID break, and I think they'll go into Dayton. I think they'll light them up. We're getting a little bit too high a line here, I think. I think this should be around 4. It is 5.5, but I think St. Louis is going to roll here and pretty much take care of Dayton. So look for that. Dayton has been struggling a little bit. They had a decent start to the year, but since then they've been really, really poor the last couple weeks. Lost to Duquesne, losses to VCU and to Rhode Island, and only a George Mason win in their last 4. So really, really like the Billikens here to put it on. Dayton the Flyers. All right, we'll go to another one where the top team is getting plus again. Now it is on the road, but Toledo plus 1.5 versus Buffalo. Toledo went through a little bit of a bad stretch after starting off so well. Losses to Ball State and Bowling Green, both pretty solid teams though. They bounced back with a win versus Miami of Ohio the other night, and I think they will be able to handle this trip to Buffalo. It is 2 games in the same week, but Buffalo, who's been, I'd say, a little poor, losses to Ohio, Kent State, Bowling Green, the other top teams in the MAC, and they are on a 3-game winning streak, but it's Ball State, Miami, Ohio, and Western Michigan. Those are really, really low-level teams in the MAC, and Buffalo has not shown the ability to win high-level games versus very good teams, and I think this Toledo is a very good team, and they'll want this win here. So look for Toledo getting plus in Buffalo to come out on top here at plus 1.5. Toledo we like. And the rematch, we took Boise State earlier in the week on the 17th. We're going to go with Utah State here and have these two teams split. Really like this split. Utah State getting 1.5 points here, and I just think Utah State will bounce back here, and these two teams will split. 2 really good teams. The first game was a pretty good game, 79-70 for Boise State, and I just think Utah State probably is the better overall team, but they're really, really close, and I just look for Utah State to bounce back and get the win here. Be sure to follow us on greenlightnetwork.org, Greenlight Network on Facebook and YouTube, and be sure to follow us tomorrow when our Saturday show comes out. We're going to have more soccer, probably an Aussie Open pick for the finals, some boxing. Dynamite David will be with us to choose some college basketball. That's our show, and we're out.